I'll stop if you want me to. Like, I'll hold off.
Yet Lucius does call out for you to stop.
We are technically guests. And it would be kind of rude to commit another homicide.
And Vladislav agrees. We wouldn't want to be rude, of course.
Listen, and I'll point at Seeker. We can clean any bloodstains up.
No, what's rude is taking people from their happy lives and putting them in a situation where putting them in a situation to get them killed. That's rude.
Now. You can't prove any of those people were leading happy lives.
Seeker claps his hands together and says, "All right, I'm getting up. Talk to you guys in a minute." Seeker heads upstairs.
Going upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
What the devil do you want here?
Yeah.
Florian's reaction is what? Indifference? Just
Mild annoyance?
mild annoyance?
It's like
He's being coy and like, oh, look what I found out here. And it's like, get to your point. Come on. Like, yes, you're very clever. You found us out in the middle of the woods. Come on. There's a truth out there. You should just tell it.
And Lucius's response is, we need to kill this guy, but not literally in this room right now.
Yeah, no, there's... It's not our place at the moment, but Lucius... If Lucius found this guy out in the middle of the woods, he would have absolutely no problem blasting a hole in this guy's chest.
Okay.
And that's the demeanor he takes.
Vladislav looks around and watches as Seeker disappears upstairs. And then looks back to the three of you. And he's still holding his hands out in front of him. His pipe is just laid clattered on the floor. His fingers are splayed out. He's not making any sudden movements. And you can see his hair is starting to drip down across his eyes and into his face. He says, I admit, perhaps our first introduction, we got off on the wrong foot.
You
Understatement of the year, yes.
You tried to monologue at us and then got a bunch of people killed.
But of course, surely that's in the past. And going forward, we can be, if not friends, then allies. You see, I
do hold grudges.
He puts his hand over his heart. He says, who doesn't?
But get to your point.
He says, right now, I would like to dry myself and warm myself by the fire. Make an insight check. Anybody can make this if you're standing in the room.
Insight check. That is a 17.
You note every time you guys are asking him questions about getting to the point and why is he here and where you know him from, etc., he keeps glancing over to Toriath. These are not things he wants to discuss in a room with other people. And at the mention of him wanting to dry off, you hear a voice from the door as Mrs. Bobkins enters back in the room and says, "Oh, another guest. But of course I'll have to serve a late meal. It'll be no trouble at all. There's plenty left over. Have a seat over here by the fire." And she ushers Vladislav over, and as she does, kind of elbows past Gus and Lucius. And the moment for bloodshed is now gone, as he is in the tender care of Mrs. Bobkins. And he puts his feet up on the table, and a tray is brought out to him with leftovers from breakfast and lunch. And he enjoys a fine midday meal.
And Florian is staring at him, arms crossed.
Okay.
Gus is standing there, like, just glowering at him. He's got both his hands, like, making that gesture where, like, you want to throttle somebody to death, but you can't quite reach.
Put your blade away.
What are Alex and Seeker doing?
Seeker's going to talk to the Furbolg.
She's downstairs.
Oh, I thought she went back to her room.
No, she's been down here the whole
Back to
time.
her room too. Okay.
No, she was down here the whole time.
I mean,
Alright, then,
Alex is just up here having another cigarette because nobody's come and told him anything.
Yeah, Lucius is going to turn and head back upstairs and tell Gustavus, or tell Alexander, we have a problem.
All right, well, as soon as you've explained it, all right, help me get in my armor.
Seeker takes position, like on the other side of the stairs, just out of sight, points towards where the Furbolg was sitting, and sends her a message saying, "The man who just walked in is a mass murderer who likes taking hostages. What do we do? You can respond."
You sent a message to the Firbolg?
Uh-huh.
To Torius? Okay.
The Firbolg who hates magic.
Uh-huh. Listen, she's gonna need to come to terms.
So you say he's a mass murderer who has no problem taking hostages. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Bear with me one moment here.
Urkel's trying to put us in a burn the inn down situation.
No, I'm looking over my notes, making sure I don't mess up this next response.
No.
Toriath's response is that right now, the murderer is sipping soup in front of the fire with his soiled socks draped on the table.
So rude.
I mean, that's where Mrs. Bobkins put him.
All right. Seeker gives her up for useless. Points towards the dwarf and sends the same message.
They're currently upstairs.
Okay, then. So who's in that room?
The three people you see, plus Toriath and Vladislav.
Okay. Who's Toriath?
Toriath is the Firbolg.
Firbolg.
Oh, so that's what was throwing me. Is I kept thinking Toriath was the dwarf.
No.
Okay.
Amner
Everything
and
makes
Jimna
more
are
sense to me
dwarves.
now.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I'm going to head back downstairs now that at least like the person in the room is warned.
When you do come back downstairs, though, you notice that she's kind of glaring at him unflinchingly. She's watching his every movement, and he's pretending like he doesn't notice. Does anything else notable happen over the course of the next hour or so?
I mean, when Alex comes back downstairs, he's in full armor. He's got his gun over his shoulder in its holster. He has a field alchemy kit across the back of his belt, unlike before he was just wearing, like a trench coat and a fedora when he went outside and some nice, comfortable clothes. And he just sits down near the fire.
As you enter the room, you hear a voice behind you, and you can tell it's directed at you and your armor and your weapons. There will be no violence in Bicklebell House. And you realize Mordecai has been standing there. You don't have any idea how long he's been standing here. And after he says that, you hear a loud peal of thunder from outside.
There it is. Understandable.
Do you have any reservations about violence in the courtyard of Bicklesby's house?
He corrects you. Bicklebell House.
Thunder.
Peal of thunder.
No, not that time. Don't be preposterous.
Okay.
Does anything happen over the course of the next hour or so?
Kidnapped any good citizens recently?
How
Make
Scottish.
Make a charisma check, Alex.
Sure.
Straight charisma.
It's an 8.
An 8. You ask Vladislav, kidnap any citizens lately? And he kind of laughs and plays it off jokingly. Like you two are old friends and you're making reference to an in-joke. And at first, it's kind of infuriating. because this man murdered like 3 people. Well, technically you murdered like 3 people, but it was his fault.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. And he did monologue like a villain and then vanish when he realized he didn't have the upper hand. And he worked for this flying pig. But over the course of the conversation, watching Toriath's response, who's sitting in the room, as well as Nellie, who's in and out of the room, and Mrs. Bobkins for sure, you realize he's winning over the other people of the house. He's able to joke and jape about everything, twist everything around to be exactly what people want to hear. You are just not this man's match.
As soon as I realize that, I'm going to whisper into the sending stone, Lucius, this is your job.
So what is it that you so desperately wish to tell us when we were in the sewers of Dunfoss?
He says, Dunfoss? Why? I haven't been there in years. Although last time I was there, and he directs this towards Mrs. Bobkins, he says, I had the most amazing recipe. There was this man who takes the wings of chickens. And completely changes the subject on you. And has Mrs. Bobkins' rapt attention. In fact, Lucius, why don't you make me a charisma check too?
Find me a better opponent than than Alexander. That is a 19.
What's your passive insight?
Passive insight is a 9.
9. As you start putting questions to Vladislav, he starts flirting with Nellie while they're in the room, here and there. And you can feel your hold on the girl start to slip in his direction as well. He's becoming a fast favorite of everyone. He always has a great story in his back pocket or a great joke. And he's got people convinced that you're all old friends that hasn't seen in quite some time. And it's a fine coincidence that he's met you here on the road. And over the course of the afternoon, he works his way, after he's quite dry from the hearth, over into the dining room and sits down while Mordecai and Mrs. Bobkins are upstairs doing some cleaning. And he pulls out his long pipe and he packs it. And begins smoking right there in the dining room.
We were asked not to do that.
In the interest of fair play, Mordecai catches you doing that. He will be very disappointed in you.
Peal of thunder.
So, he puts the pipe down and says, I wouldn't want to be rude.
Certainly not.
Alex doesn't let him out of his sight. When he moves into the dining room, Alex just goes over and leans against the pool table watching him.
Okay.
Is
Lucius is leaning against the hall, the passageway in between the 2 rooms.
Is the Furbolg still in here?
Yeah, she's sitting by the hearth, yes. Has been since lunch.
Yeah, okay.
As you guys are leaving the room and paying more attention to the dining room, she seems more relieved than anything.
So, old friend, where's your road gone? Where's your road taking you? And what does it bring you here for?
Says, at the moment, it's taking me here to admire these fine elven weapons. And he stands before the curio cabinet. Begins admiring the fine weapons inside. Then he reaches out for the handle and finds the cabinet locked. So you wouldn't happen to know who carries the keys for this cabinet, do you?
With respect, if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Alright, so are you lying to him? Because you know Mordecai carries the keys. He's got the key for everything in the house.
Yeah. Sure,
Okay.
I'll take that deception check.
Lucius, you wound me.
Yeah, probably. That's only a 12. Hello? Oh,
I'm checking my notes for something. Sorry.
fair.
He asks if any of you have spoken to the butler of the house about the objects inside this cabinet. Surely one of you has taken the guided tour of this magnificent structure.
Seeker raises a hand, says, I've taken
Yeah.
the tour.
That sounds like a seeker.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to trouble the man if he's busy at work. Perhaps you can tell me the fine stories of these weapons.
Oh, absolutely, I could.
Do you?
No.
And he's standing with his back to the case now, and you hear a soft click as you're telling him no. And as he steps away, the door to the weapons case opens slightly.
Lucius's
So.
hand rests on his tome again.
I suppose it was unlocked after all. And he sits back down, picks up his pipe, packs it, lights it up. Says, how fortuitous. And he begins smoking at the dining room table.
I'm willing to let Mordecai yell at this guy.
Lucius, care to join me outside for a smoke? He holds a
Certainly.
pipe.
Okay.
The atmosphere in here has gotten oppressive.
The atmosphere in here is filling up with Vladislav's smoke, which is actually very colorful. Slightly alchemical in nature. What are Seeker and Alex and Gus doing?
Chambering a bullet.
Yep.
Gus?
Standing there with my hand, with my, not weapon like drawn, but I think Gus's opinion is let's kill him and then just have Seeker clean up the bloodstains.
Seeker summons his familiar again to see if the smoke is poisonous.
No, it's not. It's just... But it is alchemical in nature. It's definitely not just regular tobacco. You guys don't have any problem going slightly long tonight, do you? Because there's this particular point that I want to try to get to before we break tonight.
Fair
No,
enough.
not at all.
Okay.
No.
It occurs to me, Lucius,
Yeah.
that the more we resist and the more we try to push... What's it, Vladislav?
Vladislav.
Not only out and try to win over the rest of the people in this house, the worse it goes for us.
Yeah,
Right.
I picked up on that myself.
I have a feeling our best course of action may be, rather than resist it, to lean into it. For if we start leaning into it, then we might not be in as much trouble as we think we are. I don't know how you feel about that, though.
I'll be perfectly honest. Nothing would make me happier than to catch this man somewhere out in these woods so I could blow a hole through him.
Because as of right now, he just unlocked that cabinet. And who knows what he's going to tell the other people in the house if he's won them over.
Fair enough.
I have a feeling it could all go wrong for us very fast if we don't play along.
Right. So what's our play?
Like I said, lean into it. Play along with him and
Alright.
see where we go.
Alright then.
Accept his truth temporarily as the real truth.
So there is a real truth.
No, it's not whatever he's spouting,
Okay.
but it's what we're going to play with.
Alright.
What are the three of you doing inside? Anything special or just ready to throw down? As he's smoking his pipe.
How's our good friend? Her name was Scotta, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's our mutual acquaintance Scotta doing?
He kind of coughs for a moment. Well, as you know, Scott is no friend of mine. In fact, it is this topic I wish to speak to you on when we can get a moment alone later. And at this point, just about the time you're formulating a response, you hear a loud, booming voice. There is no smoking inside a Bicklebell House! And then a peal of thunder. Gus,
Yep, there it is.
you
Yep.
suddenly realize Mordecai is standing behind you, and you have no idea how, because you didn't hear or see the servant's door open. Nonetheless,
Wait.
there he is.
But
Gus-
he went up the stairs, right? But then he was back.
Gus jumps and yells and just like curses like very loudly in Dwarvish.
To be clear, no, he had taken his boots and effects downstairs to be cleaned.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
And at this, what's Gus do?
He jumps and turns around and curses in Dwarvish. Mordecai scared the pants out of him. I think, like, let me put it this way: if we're in a swimming pool, the water around Gus would be a little yellow.
Mordecai admonishes Vladislav, who insists that nobody told him, and he's besides himself with apology, and he immediately douses the pipe. And Mordecai then noticed the cabinet open. He says, "And the smoke has crept into the curio cabinet. Have you any idea how much damage smoke of this nature can do to fine elven silver?" Vladislav goes back to being very apologetic, trying to right the wrongs that has been done. Biscuits is called upstairs to have the weapons removed from the cabinet, and they very carefully bind them up in cloths. And the knives, the 2 fencing daggers, the arrows and the hand axe are left behind, but the fencing daggers, the knives, and the 3 daggers are wrapped up, and Biscuits takes them downstairs to be properly cleaned and tended to make sure that the smoke hasn't damaged them at all.
And Alex will fish a flask of something out of his pack, and as Biscuits is walking past, he'll put it in into his belt.
In the Biscuits' belt?
Yep.
Okay.
If this is about, like, I'm willing to listen to this, and I'll look down. I'm willing to listen to him if it's about Skada.
Mordecai closes the door to the cabinet, gets out his key, locks it back up, and glares at everyone in the room, as if he's trying to figure out who it was.
Gus points it, like, he just points, but he does it like kind of haphazard, like he's deep in thought, but he like just instinctively points at Vladislav.
He says, "Bicklebell House will not turn guests out into a storm of this nature, but neither shall we suffer mischief." And then he follows Biscuits down the stairs.
I hate mischief.
Yep.
Mischief is a pain.
Is it fair to say that you guys are keeping a close eye on Vladislav all evening?
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest, like, if he wants to speak to us, we should go out in the stables and do so.
Vladislav has absolutely no desire to go back out into the rain when you suggest going into the stables.
Like, he's the one that wants to speak with us.
Yeah, but right now he wants to speak with Mrs. Bobkins about what delicious meal she's preparing for dinner. And she does confirm that she's feeling well enough to prepare the evening meal herself. You'll not have to endure Nellie's cooking again. Although she doesn't put it in quite those terms. Is anybody else doing anything throughout the afternoon other than follow Vladislav around?
Just follow him and like glare at him all. She's like, "Mm."
No talk me, I Angie.
Vladislav makes his introductions to the dwarves in Aylesbury as they come and go throughout the day. And just like the servants downstairs, he seems to endear themselves to them very quickly. He just has this way of sneaking in and charming anybody he's talking to. When he's talking to the dwarves, he speaks very pleasant dwarvish, very well spoken. He knows a lot about the mountain homes. He's had vintages made out of edel caps, etc. And he actually goads Aylesbury into performing a card trick for everybody, which he completely botches. Absolutely terrible.
Lucius thinks to himself, I could do that better.
At 5 o'clock, supper is served. The dwarves take their supper upstairs. Aylesbury eats downstairs at the table with you guys. Toriath is eating by the fire. Vladislav makes a great show of enjoying absolutely every bite.
Is he like super obnoxious about it? Like, oh,
No.
I like it melts in my mouth.
I mean,
oh.
everything he does and says grates on all of you tremendously.
I'll have what I'm having.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite bits.
I'm sorry, the dwarves don't take a supper upstairs. They just don't come downstairs for supper. And after everyone else has been served, they do show up downstairs a little late after the meal has been served. There's a brief argument between Mordecai and Mrs. Bobkins about whether or not they should be served when they didn't come when called. Mrs. Bobkins, of course, insists to find some leftovers for them. Then she and Nellie clear away the dishes and whatnot. And on into the evening as people are retiring around the house. There's most of everyone is gathering, except for the dwarves, downstairs in 3 and 4. The sun is setting, but you could never know, because the storm is just intensifying outside. And so far, Vladislav has given no indication whatsoever that he wants to be left alone with any of you people.
You had something you wanted to say to us. Say it.
Hey, it's merely been so long since I've seen you, and I enjoyed our company so much last time we met, didn't you?
It was very pleasurable, yes.
Gus twitches a little.
And again, he twists the story back around into something completely different, which the other people in the house begin to eat up with a spoon.
I'm truly, truly disappointed that we didn't get enough chance to talk about what you've been up to these past few years.
And just then, there's a loud crash of thunder through the windows of the house. Everything is brightly illuminated for a moment. Vladislav kind of looks around and says, well, by the sound of it, there'll be plenty of time for us to discuss anything you like. I dare say we'll be trapped here for some number of days.
The ranger, and I'm just assuming, like that's what I'm calling her because the woods woman seemed to think that it would break this evening.
I can think of nothing I would rather do than spend time with you, my dear friend. Well, Vladislav.
And he's very, very happy to hear that.
What room are they putting him up in?
Good question. There are no more guest rooms in the house. So, they are rolling out a bedroll for him here in the commons, in the upstairs commons in 13. So he's not going to have a room to himself. He's going to be sleeping out in the open. And he does not complain or object. Is anybody doing anything before about 10 o'clock at night? This is when Mordecai begins insisting on retiring. In fact, he goes through the house and begins dimming all of the lights.
Lucius tries to get Seeker's attention, taps the side of his head.
Mm-hmm. And Seeker will surreptitiously send a message over to Lucius. What?
I think we need watches tonight.
Seeker will shrug.
Mrs. Bobkins goes around offering everybody a glass of warm milk before
Lucius
retiring.
accepts.
And if you don't accept, she insists. Nellie and Biscuits, everybody make me an insight check.
It's a 2.
2. We're looking for a 12.
Lucius got it somehow.
Dun, dun,
That's
dun.
a 1?
A 1?
It's a
Yeah.
17.
Not from Florian.
After the warm milk, Biscuits gives out a big fake yawn. think I'll turn in early. If you got 12 or better, you can tell he's faking. He's absolutely not going to retire to bed. But shortly after that, the dwarves graciously accept their milk. Anybody who wants a glass of their fine dwarven stout that they're traveling with, they are happy to share. Aylesbury, as well, at this time, is going up to bed. Although his stomach does seem to be bothering him some. And Toriath as well, on her crutch. Declining any assistance to get up the stairs, but she makes her way up with great difficulty. Vladislav insists on a nightcap. And Mordecai explains that it's an extra charge for anything out of the liquor cabinet. Vladislav offers to pay for 3 glasses of the finest vintage in that cabinet for anybody who will drink with him.
Alex will take that offer up.
Okay.
Absolutely, Vladislav.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Certainly.
well, Lucius is too late because he's only paying for 3 glasses.
Oh. Lucius is going to stay in the room,
Okay.
regardless.
And Vladislav makes this selection, and it's a fine elven vintage. The 3 of you have a glass, and Mordecai basically babysits the nightcap. And as soon as the last drop is drained from the glass, he puts the bottle away, accepts the glasses. I trust you will all find your rooms adequately pressed down, the linens changed, and I bid you all a comfortable sleep. We will rouse you at 7 o'clock for the breakfast service.
Good night, Mordecai.
Let me go down my notes here. Lucius sleeping in the room with Aylesbury, yes?
Yep.
Alex and Gus are up in the attic, is that correct?
Correct.
Gus,
I mean, my intention is to keep a watch on this guy.
how?
At least 1 to 1. Just go down and be over here all for at least part of the night.
Into 9?
Yeah.
Are you going to try to stay in there all night?
No, I'm hopefully gonna take a shift if other people are willing to share with me.
I'll share with you.
I'll share it.
Do you make these intentions known to Mordecai?
No.
Okay. Gus, where are you at then? Are you sleeping in which of these 2 rooms? Is my question.
I'm gonna sleep in the bed then.
Okay. In Alex's bed?
Yeah, Alex is not gonna use it.
And Florian and Seeker are taking their normal room, but Seeker's going to get up for half of the night and try to go out into 9, correct?
Yep.
You're gonna wake up Fearbolg in the orange room, though. Do that.
Okay. And bear with me just one moment. The dwarves have retired to their room, and their door remains closed. Vladislav, they lay out a bedroll for him in 13, and he drops off to sleep pretty much immediately. Alex, the state of this door.
Mm-hmm.
Mordecai closes it after he sets Vladislav up in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, do you try to open it or object to that or
have
anything?
at least a crack. Just to see if any light fires up in there. No, I don't need to open it enough to actually see into it. Can I do that just under the door or through the keyhole or anything?
You could peer through the keyhole into the room and see if there's any light, but if you try to open the door, Vladislav will notice if he's not asleep.
I'll wait like half an hour and then I'll crack the door open just to see if there's any light in there.
Okay. And there's not. However, as you crack the door open to check into the room, you do hear a footfall inside of the room. And after a moment, you feel a presence on just the other side of the door.
Yeah.
Testing it. What do you do?
I'll let it open or close, so whoever that person was trying to do something.
When it opens, you see Toriath standing there, leaning on her crutch in one hand, and she has a bundle of something under her left arm. And she looks like she's kind of surprised to see you standing there. She says, "Oh, I didn't." She's speaking very softly because she's on tiptoe over
Alex
Vladislav.
hold his finger up to his lips, like to not say anything, and go over to room 10. She wants to talk.
She doesn't. If you head over to room 10, she starts heading down the stairs.
Okay, that's fine.
And how much longer are you waiting here in room 9?
Until who's the first one on the next shift? Is it Lucius or is it Seeker?
I think it was just you and Seeker who were taking shifts.
No, Lucius was too.
Okay.
Until Lucius comes to relieve me.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll do that after
So-
a couple of hours.
So we're looking at 3-hour shifts then?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. Lucius, make a constitution check.
Mm, 12.
12. Something does wake you up, but it's not Alex waking you up for your shift. It's Aylesbury, sleeping very fitfully. He's a snorer, he's groaning, his stomach is bothering him.
I'll leave him be.
Okay.
And get up for my shift early, I guess.
It's not quite time yet. It's only been about an hour. Alex, shortly after your encounter with Toriath, no, never mind. You wouldn't have noticed that.
Okay.
Skip past that. Lucius,
Yeah.
make a constitution check. And I need
17.
17, and I need Seeker and Florian to also make that same constitution check. 17? Okay.
Just
That
to check.
is a 11.
11? How'd Florian do?
14.
Seeker, you're kind of jostled awake at night by a sound. And you know how you can kind of hear two people arguing with each other?
Mhm.
But they're trying to be quiet about it, but you can always hear the sharp S's.
Sure.
That's what you're hearing through this wall. That's what wakes you up from room 15.
If I get closer to the wall, can I hear anything?
Put your ear to the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you speak Dwarvish?
No.
You hear the two dwarves arguing about something in the room in whispered tones. So as to try to not wake anybody up. Make an insight check.
Well, 1 second, actually. I cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay.
Insight check of 15.
15?
Yeah.
He's upset. And she is, like, confused and disappointed. The argument is about some kind of alchemical experiment that she's wrapped up in. That she's had to borrow some tools from around the house without asking. And he thinks this is an egregious breach of hospitality. That's what they're arguing about.
That's fine.
Okay.
That sounds rad.
Lucius, you got a 17 on that?
Yes.
So you are not jostled awake, but very kind of surprised as you feel motion and pressure on top of you, and your eyes bolt open. And straddling your chest, you see Nellie wearing her nightgown. straddling across you. And as soon as she sees you're awake, she puts one finger up to her lips and one finger down to yours. And she seems to be in a very playful mood indeed.
Lucius quickly gestures over to the Aylesbury in the bed right next door, like 5 feet away.
And she glances over and then glances back to you. And it's difficult to hear anything in this room because of just the hammering of the rain. She doesn't seem too terribly concerned about it as she reaches down and starts unbuttoning your shirt.
Wow, wow. What would have happened if he failed?
He would have woken up earlier.
Wow.
Lucius very delicately takes her hand in his, and he just shakes his head.
And she looks really hurt and confused, but she very quickly and sheepishly climbs off and barefoot leaves the room through this door and closes it as gingerly as possible. And now it is about time for your shift, for your watch.
Lucius sets himself to rights and then slips out of the door, closing it quietly, and comes back around into here. Looks for Alexander.
He's sitting in the room.
Lucius looks a little bit spooked.
Nothing happened so far that I could hear.
Oh, something happened, all right.
He hasn't struck up any light or anything. I don't know if you can see in the dark. Probably he was in that sewer.
Something happened, all right.
Anyway, do you want to help me out of my armor before I get to sleep?
Yeah.
Gus will probably already be asleep. And
Gus
Alex will
is the
fold
only
up the armor and shove it into the bag of holding and then head up and take the straw mat.
Gus is the only one getting an uninterrupted sleep tonight, apparently. So, Lucius, you're taking your shift down here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I need to make a roll here. Alex.
Yeah.
42 points of piercing damage
Oof.
from the first hit.
I've got 39 hit points, so.
Okay. Then the second hit gives you 2 failed death saves, and the third one gives you another one. What does it sound like when Alex cries out, being brutally stabbed to death in the middle of the night? Like, does he shout out in pain?
Like anything. It sounds like they just slit his throat pretty much before he could even speak.
Gus,
Yep.
you're awoken by the sound of Alex shrieking in pain in the room. And when you bolt awake, you see him laying there, gasping his last breaths, and there's a loud crash. They don't actually put windows on this map, I don't think, but there is a window in this room here.
Yep.
A loud crash out of that window, and the rain starts pouring in over his body as he bleeds out over the floor. You didn't hear anything prior to this. Everybody downstairs hears the shout and the shriek from up in the attic as well.
Lucius runs upstairs.
Oh, we're leaving it there.
Oh.
That's where we're going to end the session.
I would like to point out you did the same exact thing to Destil in the last campaign.
No, that was
Yeah.
that was a kidnapping.
Yeah, that wasn't an outright unfair murder. Like
That
It
wasn't-
was only not an outright unfair murder because I was immune to poison.
Also, that was specifically for Destil. This was meant for anybody who took this room.
Oh,
Gus is in the room now.
Oh,
yeah, I've been asleep in that room. Yeah.
I am disgusted right now.
Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm
Disgusted.
not disgusted.
So let me put up a straw poll. And I'm going to go dark for a second while you guys discuss some blips. And I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Well, clearly we can't give any blips to Destil.
Ugh.
because we know what's going to happen to Destil. We're gonna try. We're gonna go take him back to the house to the Garl Glittergold temple. We're gonna go 5,000 gold more into debt, and then $64,000 question gets asked, and Destil says, "Nah."
Who was the most creative?
I don't know. Everything went out of my brain with that.
I would say, honestly, if I was just kidding about no blips for Destil, but honestly, Alexander had a pretty good plan of attack going into the session for how to deal with the immediate fallout of killing Savad.
I was thinking that was party goals. Because those were literally party goals.
Yeah, not to get us arrested. I could see that, yeah.
Creative.
I'm okay with that. And who's a badass?
I'm going to say Lucius for verbally sparring, successfully or not, like I think semi-successfully, verbally sparring with what's Vladislav.
Vladislav. Okay. So we still got intangibles and creative.
Creative should go to Seeker for his plan to kind of the plan to kind of like listen, like if these people show up and they have these symptoms, they probably were consorting with the demon. A fiend.
All right, let's see if we can
And
do fast
intangibles.
splits tonight.
Okay.
Because I realized we went way over. Because I had to end on a particular scene. Who wants to make their blip cases tonight first?
Let's see. It's been so long I don't remember what.
Lucius, go.
Knowledge is paramount for trying to pump Vladislav for as much information as he possibly could, regardless of how futile it would be.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right, who's next?
Florian will go.
Florian.
Ideals are infinite truths. We must experience as many as we can to figure their validity. For pulling Lucius aside and saying we should probably go along with whatever Vladislav is cooking up, because it's safer for us that way.
Do you think you figured it out yet?
No. I mean, Alexander was just murdered, so we got to deal with that first.
Yeah, that's kind of a
a
red ticket priority.
Would it be convenient if Vladislav was the murderer?
It would be very, very convenient.
You have anything else for me?
Happy. Yeah. True neutral. Sometimes you have laws are so restrictive. Sometimes you have to be good. There's no way to define good. For not caring that the boy was going to kill his parents. Like, sometimes you gotta commit fratricide. Like, that's just how it goes.
Be patricide.
I mean, who's next?
I can go.
Alex.
All right, so lawful neutral, always be willing to take the law into your own hands, but no further for his thought of, well, you know what? We can just turn the kid in, and his parents will bail him out of that because he's rich. For the kid who wanted to kill his father. And Flaw, I'm sure we can handle this for his idea of, all right, well, we just killed a prominent member of society. Let's go talk to the guy trying to be king.
Probably the best move. And who's next?
I'll go.
I can go.
Gus.
Or you can go, Gus.
Okay, neutral good. I must be a benefactor and strive to leave things in a better state than I found it. For wanting to do, like, this is a demonstrated kidnapper and murderer that I feel like we should have done instant and immediate violence to.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I was overruled. But I am still probably going to do instant and immediate violence as soon as I get a chance.
Okay, fair enough.
ideal. My companions are my support structure, and I must do what I can to protect them from themselves. For us walking up on this house in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the storm, and then like thunder, or lightning, ominous, like just ominous silhouette, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should go back the other way. Like, this doesn't seem like a good place to be.
I don't know. Seems to be working out fine.
See, I'm working out fine. Like,
Working out great.
Anything else?
no.
And Seeker.
I got chaotic good. Good is only taking from those that can afford it. Chaos is taking them for all they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
For being extremely mad at my party that they went and spent 2,500 gold on 2 mercenaries.
To be clear, that's not the only assistance that 10 Sales has given you this session.
Yeah. For number 2, opportunity is everywhere if you can see it. For finding a way to use the time I was given while being picked up by the guards to deliver the message anyway by writing it down.
Okay.
And number 3, anybody can be fooled except for me for staying behind in the healing guild rather than escaping because I was pretty sure I could get out of it.
And we give 1 blip for the most creative solution to a problem this session.
That was Seeker for his plan to, basically, I'm assuming like Seeker did it to expose like potential like people that were siding with the flying pig. It's like, so if these people show up and they have these symptoms, they probably have made a deal with a fiend. So watch out for that. And I thought that was pretty clever.
Okay. Who furthered the party's goals the most?
That was that the speaking to 10 cells thing?
It was Alexander for coming up with plans at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who was the badass this session?
That was Lucius for the verbal sparring with Vladislav.
And 1 for intangibles.
We didn't get that far.
Okay.
I mean, I taught 2 of the party members how to play pool.
You did.
Probably snooker, not pool.
What do you have in exchange, Florian? I heard a What's your counter offer? I got bad news for you. If you don't have a counter offer, you
I
just
don't
got
have a.
snookered.
I
So
don't have a counter offer
we're giving it to
I'm
who?
okay with that.
for
So
Gustavus
to Gus.
for teaching pool.
All right. And Alex is taking our straw poll this week.
Oh.
For all
Nice.
Murder
Flush those experience off the tip down the toilet.
for
Thanks,
all the
Jack.
good it did him.
Murder blip.
Does everybody just want to come into next session with 6 blips?
Yeah.
Plus
Yeah,
1
I'm
more for
good.
me for the video. I forgot. It's been so long.
Okay.
But I did everything is up to date and
I mean,
ready to go.
Gotcha.
Does it matter how many blips I have?
Might.
Can't spend them when I'm dead. I guess I can help other people.
We'll see.
So does everybody want to come into next session with 6?
Yeah.
How many do I have total? Like, getting, so it's what, 2,
You're-
3?
You're getting 4 this session.
4.
And blips are worth 300.
300. So 3 times 4 is 1,200. So 12. Let me do math. Hold on. Math's difficult.
Okay.
How many was I getting?
You're getting 4.
Okay.
Florian is taking 2. Gus is taking 4. Lucius is taking 2. Seeker is taking 4.
I'm going in with 6. I'm
6.
1,000 short.
All right. Go ahead and roll those over. Roll the excess over.
Mhm.
And when we
I'm like 6,000 short, 7.
when we pick it up next week, we will see. I mean, I'm assuming the Destil's gonna write RPG horror stories tonight for Reddit. I look forward to it. All right, that's it. Thanks for playing. I'll see everybody next Sunday.
Yep, later.